Hi everyone, Dr. Shook here, and this is video number 2 of our 7-part series on how to prevent hair loss with Hashimoto's or hypothyroidism. So this also applies if you're trying to get the hair to grow back, because what I'm going to talk about is specifically focused on improving hair growth and all of the things that you need for your hair to grow, okay? So I'm really excited to share this second tip with you because I think this is the most commonly missed thing with hypothyroidism and Hashimoto's that is not being talked about. So if you look online and you search for information on hair loss, you're going to find things on vitamins and a lot of things that are less foundational than this. Okay. Tip number 2 is you have to have good blood flow to the hair follicle for it to grow. Okay, this is extremely important with hypothyroidism. Now, tell me, what is one of the most common symptoms that people have with hypothyroidism? Think about it for a second. Cold hands, cold feet, cold tip of the nose, right? Why is that? Why do you think that is, right? It's because they're not getting blood flow to their extremities. It's really common with hypothyroidism and Hashimoto's, right? Most of you, if you're hypothyroid, you know that. You have a problem maintaining your temperature. Your hands are always cold, your feet are cold, even if other people aren't. Listen, if you touch the tip of your nose right now and it's cold, it's not warm, you're in a normal room, you're with room temperature where other people aren't cold, listen, you got a blood delivery problem. Now, so why this is so important is because it doesn't matter if you take biotin. It doesn't matter if you're taking this great hair growth product. None of that stuff matters if you can't get it to the hair follicle. Okay? This is so important. So here's the deal. Why do we lose blood flow when we have hypothyroidism or Hashimoto's? Okay? These are two different things here, because when you're hypothyroid, this is the idea that you don't have enough thyroid hormone, or you can't get it to the cell. So you have all that. You say you have the functional deficiency of not enough thyroid hormone. Or let's say you just don't have enough thyroid hormone. So what happens is the physiological processes aren't working optimally. And number one, the one that's very relevant to this discussion is your heartbeat will drop. Okay, you'll have a lower heartbeat if you're deficient in thyroid hormone. So what happens if your heart's not beating? Okay, if you don't have a fast enough heartbeat, you're not going to have good perfusion of peripheral tissues. You're not going to have good perfusion of your extremities, your nose, or your scalp. And guess what your head is? It is an extremity, right? So your scalp, that's extremity. And it's even more difficult because the blood has to pump up against gravity, okay? So it's very difficult. So you have to have good blood delivery. You can't be deficient in thyroid hormone, or you can see issues with like the heart rate dropping. There are some other things we're going to talk about that also have to do with blood pressure, okay? So the other thing is, most people that are hypothyroid, like about 90%, they have an autoimmune condition called Hashimoto's. Now, this brings in a new set of problems, okay? Especially when it relates to blood flow. So if someone is autoimmune, period, if they're autoimmune, they have an inflammatory load that comes with that autoimmunity. So they have this inflammatory process that occurs every time there's autoimmunity, okay? So if you have Hashimoto's, let's just say Hashimoto's, let's use that as our example of autoimmune condition. If you have Hashimoto's, every time you have an autoimmune flare-up, you're going to have an increase in inflammatory cytokines. These are these chemical messengers that are produced as a result of the inflammatory process. Those cytokines do something very interesting, okay? So I'm going to get a little technical with you. You have this system in your body called the Nitric Oxide synthase system, or NOS system. What you need to know is that there are 3 different parts to that, but we're going to talk about the 3 main ones here that are relevant to our topic. There's the Inos system. That means I for inducible nitric oxide synthase system, okay? There's another system called the Enos system, endothelial nitric oxide system, or synthase, okay? And then there's also NOS for neuronal, like neuron, like a nerve cell, nitric oxide synthase system. Now, normally in your body, these systems are, they fluctuate based on what your body needs, okay? Now, when you have these increased loads of cytokine loads, these inflammatory chemicals, what it does is it will increase the Inos system. It will boost it. The Inos system is associated with tissue damage and destruction, okay, especially with autoimmunity. You're stimulating the Inos system that is associated with more tissue destruction. That is not something we want, right? We definitely don't want more tissue destruction in any instance, but especially with our autoimmunity. The other thing it does is when you have these flare-ups, these autoimmune flare-ups, it decreases and suppresses the eNOS, which is endothelial nitric oxide synthase. Guess what that does? The endothelial nitric oxide controls blood flow. So when you decrease it, you decrease blood flow. So that is definitely not something we want to do. And then the third system is the neuronal nitric oxide system. And in that system, with an autoimmune flare, you will suppress it. Autoimmunity will suppress it. That's not good either because that system protects our nerve cells. Okay? So here's the thing. Autoimmunity, if you have an autoimmune condition like Hashimoto's, then every time you have an autoimmune flare, you produce these inflammatory chemicals. They suppress this very important nitric oxide system in your body. That system is responsible for dilating and increasing blood flow to your peripheral tissues. Blood flow to the hair follicle is critical, right? It's critical because you have to have good blood flow to get the nutrients to the hair follicle so it can grow, to get the oxygen, the sugar, and all the nutrients that need to go there. If you have a cold nose, cold hands, cold feet, you're not perfusing well. So you have to consider things like, is it a thyroid hormone utilization problem? Is it a thyroid hormone quantity problem? Is your heart rate low and suppressed? Then you have to look, am I autoimmune? If you have something like Hashimoto's or any other autoimmune condition, then this inflammatory response can decrease this endothelial nitric oxide system in your body. And that will decrease the blood flow and create these problems with blood delivery. So it doesn't matter if you take a bunch of vitamins. If you can't get the nutrients to the hair follicle, it won't make a difference, okay? So tip number 2, extremely critical, very, very commonly missed. I don't see really anyone talking about this in the world of hypothyroidism, is the inability to deliver blood and get blood to the hair follicle, and that's how you deliver all your nutrients, okay? So I hope this has helped you guys. I appreciate you taking time to learn more about your health. This is the end of our second video on how you can prevent hair loss with Hashimoto's and hypothyroidism. I'm going to be covering a few more videos with you guys. If you're interested, I go through all these 7 steps in great detail. I have a 28-page guidebook that I put together. It is an incredible resource for hair loss and hypothyroidism and Hashimoto's. You can go there if you're interested in that guidebook. You can click on the link below or after this video, and it will take you there so that you can purchase our guidebook if you'd like. We only charge $7 for a 28-page guidebook with about 15 to 20 links. There are at least 5 videos in there where I explain more and expand on these topics. If you go there, you can purchase that guidebook. All we ask is a one-time $7 fee to help us cover the technology costs. We're basically giving you the guidebook, and the time that I've put in to create it. But if you just help us with the technology costs for the website and for the technology to make it available for all the videos, then you can have that entire guidebook for only $7. So if not, though, just hang with us. On the next videos, I'm going to be explaining a lot more to you, okay? So appreciate you taking time to learn more about your health. If you need anything, let us know. Thanks.